They told you to be the nice guy. Be patient. Be loyal. Be the one who stays no matter what. They said that if you're always there, always available, always understanding, always forgiving, she'll eventually realize your worth. But that was the lie. You were taught that devotion without boundaries was a virtue, that your willingness to endure would somehow prove your love. But in reality, it only proved that you were willing to abandon yourself for her approval. She doesn't want the man who's always within reach. She doesn't respect the man who tolerates disrespect, who accepts silence, confusion, or chaos in the name of love. She doesn't desire the man who sticks around while she tests his limits and dances with his emotions. That man becomes background noise. Predictable. Replaceable. The truth is, emotional availability without self-respect isn't attractive, it's a trap. You thought your presence was power, but it became permission. Permission for her to treat you however she wanted. And the more you stayed, the more she pulled away. She wasn't looking for someone to chase her, she was waiting to feel something real. Ironically, she doesn't feel that from the man who stays. She feels it from the man who knows when to walk away. Walking away isn't weakness, it's strength disguised as silence. It's not giving up, it's waking up. A man doesn't walk away because he doesn't care. He walks away because he finally realizes that caring alone isn't enough. He loved with everything he had. He showed up. He gave consistency, loyalty, and truth. But he also saw the disrespect, the games, the manipulation. And instead of fighting for someone who made him feel small, he chose to fight for himself. That's the shift. That's the moment he stops chasing and starts reclaiming. Reclaiming his energy. Reclaiming his peace. Reclaiming his value. He walks not to punish her, but to protect himself. Because the man who walks away doesn't need to scream. His silence says everything. It's not a move, it's a message: I won't stay where I'm not respected, and that silence lingers. It's felt. It's heard even in his absence. She starts to realize he didn't leave because he was done loving, he left because he started loving himself more. He chose clarity over confusion, self-worth over approval, and peace over chaos. And in that decision, he becomes unforgettable. Not because he left, but because when he did, he never looked back. Desire isn't born in presence, it's born in absence. It lives in the space where certainty used to be. When you were always available, always answering, always orbiting her emotional highs and lows, she never had to wonder. You were predictable. She knew where to find you, how to trigger you, how to keep you close without ever truly committing. But when you walked away, the script flipped. Suddenly, your energy was gone. Your presence wasn't guaranteed. You stopped chasing, stopped explaining, stopped showing up for someone who never truly saw you. That's when desire begins to grow, when she feels the silence you left behind. It creeps in late at night, in quiet moments, when she expects your name to light up her phone and it doesn't. Now she isn't longing for attention, she's craving access. And you've made access a privilege, not a right. She romanticizes the very things she once overlooked: your effort, your presence, your loyalty. What once annoyed her now feels sacred. And it hits her, what she thought was weakness was actually strength. What she dismissed as clingy was actually rare devotion. But now it's out of reach. That distance becomes gravity. And gravity, when paired with self-respect, is magnetic. The man who walks away isn't numb, he feels everything. He just refuses to let those feelings control him anymore. He's been through the emotional tug-of-war, the manipulation masked as love, the highs that came with lows that drained him. And now, he chooses something different: emotional discipline. He's no longer reactive. No longer triggered by silence, games, or attention-starving tactics. He's become untouchable, not because he doesn't care, but because he's learned to care for himself first. That emotional untouchability is his armor. It's what separates him from the man he used to be, the one who explained himself, who tried to be understood, who confused availability with value. Now, he doesn't explain. He doesn't argue. He doesn't plead. He simply removes himself. And that removal isn't an act of spite, it's an act of self-protection. He understands that her control was never in her love, it was in his confusion. And now that confusion is gone. He walks with clarity, with intention, with boundaries that don't bend for temporary feelings. She can feel the shift. She sees it in his eyes, hears it in his silence, senses it in his absence. He's not the same man. He's stronger. Sharper. Centered. And now, he's unreachable. When you leave, you don't just exit her life, you create a void. A space where your presence used to live, where your energy used to pour in, where your consistency once felt like a safety net she never had to ask for. And at first, she might pretend it doesn't matter. She might distract herself, laugh louder, post more, act unbothered. But silence has a way of sneaking in. Slowly, subtly, then all at once. And when the noise fades, she starts to hear it, ****. The way you listened. The way you showed up. The way your loyalty was never in question. She replays the words you said, the effort you gave, the patience you showed. And now that it's gone, it hits her, you weren't weak. You were rare. You weren't clingy. You were consistent. And now she can't get to you, not because you're hiding, but because you've outgrown her. That absence becomes your message. That distance becomes your strength. She doesn't miss the drama. She misses the certainty. She misses the peace you brought. But now that peace is yours alone. The man she thought would always be there, isn't. And that reality doesn't just hurt, it haunts. Because now, you've become the one she can't reach. You didn't walk away to prove a point. You walked away to find yourself again. This was never about making her regret it or teaching her a lesson. It was about remembering who you are, who you were before you started shrinking just to be accepted. You stopped needing her validation. You stopped trying to be chosen. You finally chose yourself. And in that choice, everything shifted. You became centered, focused, untouchable. You built a life where your peace isn't negotiable and your purpose comes first. And now, even if she came back, you wouldn't make space, not because you're bitter, but because you've evolved. She had access to the real you, and she fumbled it. And now that version of you is gone. You've become too valuable to be available. She isn't chasing the man she left. She's chasing the man she never thought she'd lose. But the truth is, that man doesn't exist anymore. He became something greater. She feels the difference. You're not watching her stories. Not checking her page. Not responding to her bait. Because you're no longer stuck in the past, you're too far into your future. You didn't walk away to hurt her. You walked away because staying was hurting you. And now, you're free. For more stories that shift your mindset, hit subscribe. Because evolution isn't a moment, it's a journey.